And for more from the Midsummer Classic, we say hello to CBS MLB insider Jim Bowden. JB, from pinstripe power to a host of dominant arms, this game in many ways mirroring what we've seen in the first 90 or so games this season. In the end, it's the AL making it 9 straight. What's the headline for you coming out of this one?
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting. I mean, you think about Rachel Robinson celebrating her 100th birthday on this All-Star Day in Los Angeles, an All-Star game that was supposed to be played here a year ago, but they moved it because of the pandemic, and now we got to celebrate that here. That was special in the pregame. Denzel Washington came out and spoke about that. That was a very cool moment. And then when the game starts, I love that Ohtani came out and said, I'm going to swing at the first pitch. I don't care where it is. I'm just going to swing at the first pitch. And he gets a base hit off of Kershaw, and then Kershaw picks him off. It was so great. And then how about the irony of two of the best pitchers in the first half, Shane McClanahan, who was the best pitcher in the American League, Tony Gonsolin, arguably at least one of the top 3 pitchers in the National League, and they're the only 2 pitchers that gave up runs in the entire game. I mean, how ironic is that? We saw an unbelievable double play, as you saw in the video, Timmy Anderson and Jimenez, and that was the game, by the way. That was it. That double play really ended the game. And then we saw the power. Paul Goldschmidt hitting one for the National League, and then you saw the Stanton homer and the Buxton homer. So, well-played game. It was 3-2, but I got to tell you, Joe, I was kind of rooting for a tie because I wanted to see what that home run derby would have looked like to break the tie. We never quite got there, but it was a fun game at Chavez Ravine, a 1-run game. You can't ask for more than that, especially in an All-Star game.
I can co-sign that as well. We were rooting for it here in the newsroom, seeing what that would look like, a potential swing-off here to decide this deal. But it does also open up this larger conversation about this stretch of American League dominance, Jim. The NL, no hit from the 2nd through the 7th in this one. Now 9 consecutive losses. Can you point to anything particular that would explain the lopsidedness of this last decade or so?
I mean, I would just tell you there's more talent in the American League, right? There's more hitters. There's more power arms there. Look, both leagues are really good, but keep in mind this. Okay, the American League's won 9 in a row in the All-Star Game, but who's been winning the World Series? Who's won the last 3, right? It's been the National League that's won it. The Atlanta Braves, the Dodgers, the Nationals. They've won the last 3 World Series, and I think if you ask any National League player, they would much rather be winning the World Series than winning the All-Star Game. Look, this was just an exhibition. You've got, the starters come out after a couple of bats. The next line comes in. They're really not playing to win as much as they're playing an exhibition game to show the world the best talent in baseball, and we got to see that tonight.
Yeah, it was a game that offered plenty of moments, especially early on. In terms of the MVP, well, it's the kid that went to high school 20 minutes west of the stadium, Jim, coming home to collect the hardware. Giancarlo doing it with a single swing of the bat as well. 457 feet, a $112 or so off the barrel. That makes it the hardest hit and second furthest home run in All-Star Game history since StatCast started recording such numbers. Jim, did Stanton have your vote here on this given night?
Yeah, you know what was special is I remember when his name was Mike Stanton in high school, and he was a top power prospect, and then his name changed to Giancarlo. But what's fun is that, Giancarlo grew up at Dodger Stadium. He sat in the bleachers. He sat down the first base line, the third base line. He came with his family all the time. And for him to be able to come back to Dodger Stadium where he grew up as a kid and watch the Dodgers play, to be able to come here and hit a home run and be the MVP of the All-Star Game at Dodger Stadium, at Chavez Ravine, just a very special moment for him in his career.
Yeah, we saw the list right there. Derek Jeter remains the only player in big league history to win All-Star Game and World Series MVP in the same season. I'm sure Yankees fans would love to welcome one more into that club of one currently. Jim, you've offered us some amazing coverage and perspective these last couple nights. I want you to take us inside the building here on Tuesday. Can you speak to LA and Dodger Stadium specifically as a host venue?
Yeah, I mean, look, this was a tremendous All-Star week. It started Saturday with a Futures game here at Dodger Stadium, and we got to see the next generation of stars like Jordan Walker of the Cardinals and Zach Veen of the Colorado Rockies, and that was extremely special with guys like Ken Griffey Jr. and Adrian Beltre and Jimmy Rollins all being a part of that Futures game, helping guide these young stars. And then on Sunday, we had the draft that took place at Xbox Plaza of LA Live, and what was special about that, Joe, is 4 of the first 5 picks were African American. First time that's ever happened in baseball. You know, MLB has done a really hard job of trying to diversify the sport, trying to get the athletes to play baseball. Baseball has lost so many athletes to the NFL and the NBA over the years. They're trying to get them back, and in this draft, that was actually accomplished. Then on Monday, you sat there with a home run derby, and that was, I mean, how special was that to see a guy like Julio Rodriguez come on the scene and all of a sudden put his name in the hat with Acuna and Tatis and Soto as one of the best in the game. He had 30 home runs, 30 twice in the same derby in 2 different rounds. That's never been done before. But in the same derby, the highlight was Albert Pujols, who sat there, and the entire, both sides, AL and NL, all came out to comfort him, to say goodbye, to show him respect, and he ends up somehow beating Kyle Schwarber in the derby. And then we had the red carpet today, and you had Starling Marte walk in with no shirt on and just a jacket. You saw Aaron Judge come in with a nice Gucci conservative suit. It was pretty tight, to be honest with you. And so then we have the All-Star Game, a 1-run, 3-2 game. And, you know, you sit here at Dodger Stadium. It's the most picturesque stadium there is on the planet, in my opinion. You look at the seats, it reminds you of the ocean, the sand, and the mountains all at once. That's why they colored the seats the way they did. And everywhere you look, there's tributes to Tommy Lasorda, the late Tommy Lasorda, who would have loved to have been here today. Look, very, very special moment here at Dodger Stadium. It's been a great week, and a lot of credit to the Los Angeles Dodgers, the city of Los Angeles, and the commissioner's office for putting on such a great show.
Yeah, it was the perfect setting for the Midsummer Classic, but let's spin it forward. Do you believe that it'll also play host to the Fall Classic, Jim?
Well, I think if we judge it based on the first half, the 2 best teams were the Yankees and the Dodgers. I would tell you the pathway for the Yankees will be easier than it is for the Dodgers because, in my opinion, the Astros are really the only team that I saw in the first half that could beat them and prevent them from getting to the series. You know, in the National League, the Braves, I think, have a better team than they did a year ago. I don't think there's any doubt that the New York Mets with DeGrom and Scherzer, if they're healthy, can be a threat. But the Dodgers were the best team in the first half. So if that continues in the second half, I can absolutely see Yankees-Dodgers. How would that be for ratings? LA and New York? That would be incredible if it happens.
Well, what we know coast to coast, he is the toast of any town. Our guy, Jim Bowden, breaking it down on HQ. JB, we thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, here's a look at the odds to win the World Series, and Jim just said it. 4-1 both ways, Yankees, Dodgers. Sign me up twice. If you're looking for some value, well, down the board, 7-1 on the Mets. The Braves, who he mentioned, rounding into form, some hot bats and figuring things out with what Jim called a better roster than last year's World Series winning roster. But right now, it's the Yankees and the Dodgers at the top of the crop.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.